Hi, everyone. We are live here with you today, both on LinkedIn and YouTube, here with Larissa about designing your digital presence to get more job opportunities. As a way for folks to trickle in, let us know where y'all are tuning in from and share a little intro about yourself in the chat and connect with each other on LinkedIn. So, where are you tuning in from, Larissa?
Hi, Grace. Thank you so much for having me today. I am in the Bay Area. I live in the East Bay. I have lived out here for 8 years. I'm originally from New York, actually. So yeah, I'll give you all just a little bit about me while we're waiting for everyone to trickle in. I have been recruiting for about 15 years, and I have always recruited within creative marketing and advertising. I love this space so much, and I feel blessed that I get to talk to some really cool people every day. You guys are all amazing. So I recruit for everything from graphic design, art direction, creative directors to UX and product design at all levels. I work on both the advertising agency or marketing agency side of things, as well as in-house within different companies. I've worked for, smaller, more boutique size companies to Fortune 500, like the Facebooks of the world and all of that. And today I'm going to be talking about your digital presence. I am really passionate about what it means to show up online and how that's going to help you to land your next opportunity. Honestly, the days of just kind of like spraying and praying, or just posting your resume or applying to jobs and doing nothing else, honestly, those days are gone. You really have to have a true digital presence and really put yourself out there to be able to land your next job. So like Grace said, as everybody's trickling in the comment section, if you could include a little bit about yourself, and if you could include where you're calling in from, as well as your LinkedIn profile. Part of that digital presence is building your network. So I'm going to encourage everybody today to try to network with each other, and so network your heart out.
Yes, thanks so much for being on. There's like over 100 people on LinkedIn right now. There is like a 30-second delay between what we see here and on LinkedIn. So there's that, but feel free at any time. We got a lot of your questions when you RSVP'd. If you have any more questions come up, definitely drop them on LinkedIn. We'll start with the presentation and the Q&A. And I'm personally tuning in from San Francisco, California, specifically a phone booth at a WeWork at Salesforce Tower. So this is my view in this like cozy phone booth. Yeah. And I actually recently moved up here from home in Cupertino and started a hacker house called the Bunny House. And we have our first event on Friday and happen to have almost 200 people RSVP, so it's gonna be crazy. So if you're in SF, we're actually hosting a ton of events around here, and around the world too. And wait, I see waiting room. Okay, so I got distracted with the comments. And yeah, so I see everyone trickling in. Oh, it
I
says
think
still starting soon. Waiting room. Sorry, let me just double check, making sure everyone can
Yeah.
see
I know
the
on LinkedIn,
comments.
sometimes you just need to refresh it. Yeah.
Yes,
If it's
I'm gonna
wonky.
test it on my phone. But meanwhile, we can see Najayo from Ottawa, Canada.
Yeah.
Can see Vina from Chicago, Brad from Oakland, Alex from LA. Yes, definitely try refreshing the page. Miami, Florida. Amazing. Yeah, definitely keep these comments coming. We have 139 people live, and if you can't see it, please refresh. And yeah, without further ado, I'm Grace. I founded Design Buddies, and I'm really passionate about this concept, or this like topic of designing a digital presence to get more job opportunities, because I born and raised in Silicon Valley, California, where like as a kid, I want to be an anime artist, but as how I felt growing up here was like I needed to be like a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or failure. So naturally, I felt like I was going to be failure. And then I went to school at Santa Clara University studying bioengineering and computer science engineering. Later, around like when I was still in school, I decided I didn't want to do engineering as a career anymore. I wanted to do UX design. So I created this community called Design Buddies about 4 years ago, April 2020. And it just like blew up, and then it really helped me like Design Buddies slash doing events, content creation, helped me land my first job out of college at a large tech company without applying. And so I'm really excited to have Larissa here today, talking more about how you can design your visual presences to get more job opportunities, and stand out in this competitive market. And Design Buddies, if you guys are new, I'm Grace, I'm the founder of Design Buddies, and our goal is to help designers land jobs and improve your skills while having lots of fun. So we have events online like this, in person in San Francisco and beyond, design challenges, content, and more. And I'm also taking a leave of absence from my day job, to take Design Buddies to the moon. So you'll
Big
see a
news.
lot of yes, that's just like a little this morning. So I'm like so excited for that. And I'll be continuing to create content, travel the world, and yeah, very excited. But yeah, I'm really excited hanging out to Larissa on my topic today. So feel free to take it away.
Okay. Well, let's jump in. I will share my screen. Just as a reminder for everybody, if you're just joining, recommend if you are joining to introduce yourself in the chats, include your LinkedIn profile, encourage everyone to be connecting with each other. And I'll remind throughout that, but would love to see where everyone's calling in from, what your role is, or what you're aspiring to do, and let's all support each other. So the presentation is probably going to be about 30 minutes. We had some great questions come in that I'm going to answer throughout the presentation and then at the end, but then also we'll open it up to questions at the end as well. So let me share my screen and we'll go from there. Let's see. Probably should have practiced this before this, shouldn't I? Like, uh-oh, hold on one second. Apologies. It is not allowing me to share my screen because, okay, wait, I have to, sorry, technical difficulties. Sorry, Grace.
No worries.
I have to quit and come right back because I don't have it as allowed on my laptop. Can I do that really
No worries.
quickly?
Yeah, no, go
Okay, I'll
ahead.
be right back.
Yeah, I will continue to see who is in here. We have almost 200 people live, and let's see. We have Ernest from Baton Rouge. Oh, hi, everyone. We're just waiting for Larissa to come back so we can share screen. Mohammed from Egypt. Wow, thanks for joining us. I know it's like pretty late during the day there. Say from New Jersey, Sandra from NYC, Layla from Scribblebot, and Rebecca from Baltimore, Argentina, Martin, um, Kimberly from Los Angeles. Wow, very, very cool, very diverse. From Colorado, San Diego, Milwaukee, Toronto, Nigeria area. Nice. There's so many people. We got like most of the continents covered in this chat too.
Yay! Okay, I'm back. I apologize.
No worries.
Oh my goodness. It should work perfectly now. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so we're talking about designing your digital presence, and the whole purpose today is to hopefully open up some more job opportunities. So from here, let's talk a little bit about what does it mean? What is your digital presence? So to me, your digital presence is anything that you're going to do showing up online. And even though we think about our resume as a printed, material, the truth is that we don't print our resumes really at all anymore. They are also part of our digital presence. So really, our digital presence is anywhere you're going to show up online, whether it is your public facing portfolio, your LinkedIn profile, your resume. And then also just keep in mind, if your social media presence is a public profile, whether that's your Instagram or your TikTok, people will look at that. And so I would consider all of that to be your digital presence. Little bit about me just quickly, in case you're just joining. I am the owner and founder of the Vibrant Talent Group. We are an agency that specifically focuses on filling creative marketing and advertising roles. I have been recruiting for about 15 years, and that has always been my focus. I love the creative space, and I actually have a degree from the Fashion Institute in New York City, and started my career in fashion. So again, when we think about our personal brand, you really want to make sure that it is consistent across all the mediums. And so what my hope is that you'll see today is what you're seeing on this presentation is also going to be consistent across what you'll see on Vibrant Group's website, on our vibranttalentgroup.com. It's what you'll see on my LinkedIn. It's what you will see also if you were to email me. Again, you have to be consistent, not just with your visuals though, but also with your content, especially because many of the folks that are on here are designers or you're in marketing. Your job is to follow brand guidelines. And that is the first way that you can show that you can follow those brand guidelines is by showing up with your own personal brand. So again, keep in mind your digital presence is a direct reflection of who you are. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. How can your digital presence attract employers? The first is really just gaining your visibility and reach. So being consistent about sharing valuable content, engaging with others, and optimizing profiles for relevant keywords is your first step. I just said a lot. It can be super stressful. How do I figure out what to share? How do I know who to engage with? How do I optimize my profile? I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper as we go. But the basics is that you want to be following, first of all, everybody that's on here. Every person that is in this group right now and every person that's listening is somebody that is probably sharing valuable content and people that you want to hopefully partner with in the future. By engaging with others, by supporting others, it is showing that you're a thought leader. It is showing that you are aware of what's going on in the industry. And it's showing that you genuinely care about being in that specific industry. The next way that you can really help to attract employers is by networking. And so by actively engaging with your peers and participating in discussions like this, and even more broadly in discussions that any discussions that Design Buddies might do is a great way for you to network. What I suggest often is not just going to the event, whether it's in person or online, but post about the event. What did you learn? What were your takeaways? What was your experience? Again, it's showing that you not just showed up and had a drink or whatever it is, but that you were really listening and that you have something to share with your community about the event. Another way to stand out and really attract employers is then demonstrating your ability and creativity. So, being able to demonstrate your ability to stay current with industry trends. And that again it could be anything. Maybe there is a new feature in Figma, or there is a new AI tool that you have been playing around with for design, or maybe you have never designed for an app before. It's always been for web. talk about it, right? Share your experiences. What are you learning? What has been tough? What have you struggled with? These are the things that people want to know. We can learn from each other. And again, it's showing that you are just a constant learner and you're constantly involved in your industry and excited to be in the industry. So from here, I'm going to show you a few different examples of some of the elements that you can utilize to stand out, and use your digital presence for the best. So on LinkedIn, and this is of course, my personal LinkedIn that I pulled. I'd encourage you, if you are, um, on a dual screen, or maybe you're logged in one place and you want to look at this on your phone, take a look at your LinkedIn profile. The very first piece of your LinkedIn, right under your name, is going to be your contact information and your portfolio. And for me, that would be my website, should be immediately available. So I'll tell you, as a recruiter or as a hiring manager, when I'm looking at a design, a designer, one of the very first things I'm looking at is their portfolio. And it should be extremely accessible for me to be able to find your portfolio. And this is the best way to include it, is within your contact information. Beyond that, as I scroll through your LinkedIn, I'm going to look to see, what are you posting about? What are you commenting on? What do you potentially have in your featured section or your about me? And truthfully, I find that many people do not think about filling these sections out on their LinkedIn. And I think that that is a big missed opportunity. So that first thing the first step that you're going to get to on your LinkedIn after you scroll past is going to be this featured section. You can feature anything you want in here. It's basically like Instagram, where you can pin a post. Same thing here. So I have posted all sorts of different things on LinkedIn. These are the things that I decided to pin, or in this case, it's called featured. So I'm pinning about an event that I spoke at the American Marketing Association. Featuring when I launched my own business, the Vibrant Talent Group. I'm also posting about a post, honestly, that did really well, and is the truth and still remains the truth. And I want everyone to see this, which is, you're not wasting my time. You're always welcome to be reaching out to me, and I'm always here to support in any way that I can with your career progression. For you, you might be thinking about, what should I feature? What should I include? I would feature anything, right? Maybe it is an article that you've read recently that you thought would be extremely helpful for your community. Maybe it is an event that you went to recently that you posted about. Maybe it is a update about your current employment status and you want it to be featured here. Just thinking about, well, as somebody lands on your LinkedIn, what are the first things that you want them to see? Beyond that, there is an activity section. And I can look across and I can look at the posts that you've posted about. I can also see any time that you've commented. And again, what I'm looking for when I look at candidates is, I'm looking to see, are they involved in the industry that they're wanting to be in or that they're applying to? So I am suggesting that you are commenting on potential hiring managers that you would love to work for, on posts like that. You may be commenting on Design Buddies and on Grace's posts. You're commenting on your friends or your old colleagues or alumni, so on and so forth. And then the last section that I think is really important is your about me. I always read this, and I'm genuinely trying to get a quick snapshot of who you are and what your specialty is. So I'm a UX designer with a strong background in fintech, or I am an aspiring UX designer with a degree out of XYZ company or XYZ school. And maybe that about me section talks a little bit about your aspirations. It also could be a little bit personal. I love when people say, I love talking about my dog and I'm an avid reader or whatever that might be. It honestly is just another topic to speak to you about, and a little bit of an icebreaker type of a topic to speak about, other than just like, so tell me about yourself. So yeah, I see too a question that just popped up from Sandra, and she asked, how often should you refresh your featured content? I.e., when does a piece of content become stale? I don't know. What do we think? I don't have an exact answer for this. I'll be honest with you. That post that I posted about you're not wasting my time, I think that was probably from about a year ago. But I still think it's really relevant. Potentially, if I posted about something in the news that isn't maybe quite as updated, then I might not, right? I might want to switch that out. But if you feel like it's still relevant to you, I don't think that it becomes stale necessarily.
Definitely plus one. Like, don't let anyone, don't let anyone tell you it's stale. If you're proud of it, showcase it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So let's talk about your portfolio. So when we think about the portfolio and we consider what to include, and for me, being prepared to not just showcase the visuals, but including everything else. So yes, of course, I want to see the visuals of the website that you designed, or the app that you designed, or the tablet, or whatever, right? Of course, I want to see those visuals. But in addition to that, what I want to understand about what's in your portfolio is, what was your role on the team? Who else, were you working alongside a developer? Were you working alongside a product manager? Were you working alongside a visual designer? Who else sat on the team with you to complete this project? And then we really want to talk through what is when we think about the sort of the why, right? Why did you work on this project? What was the problem? Why were you given the project? And then from there, walking through your design process, the research you've done, the challenges, the learnings. And then, of course, you want to include visuals of the deliverables. And that might be wireframes, mockups, prototypes. If you are an illustrator, it might just be like your actual hand sketches that you might include before the final product that you got into into Illustrator and Photoshop to complete. I think if it's a website or something along those lines, also showing the results. So did you increase click-through rates? Did you increase time on page? If you have any of those types of results, I strongly suggest to include them. And then the last is to include what types of tools you've used. So I just kind of pulled out, these are just some just like screenshots up top here of some portfolios. And this is how people laid out their portfolio. So one person just literally listed out, this was my role, within the company. So they kind of broke it down. This is their role, not the company. This is my role within this specific project. These were the deliverables that were expected out of the project. And so this is what that person worked on. And then these are the tools that they used to complete that project. Another person in their portfolio included, this is their summary. So I was responsible for leading the design strategy, research and development of a business plan for a new online donation platform. And that person's role was to complete the user research, the prototyping, and a UI design. So again, right, I want to understand not just, here is a screenshot of the website, but let's walk through it. Okay, perfect. Let's go into the next one. So then we're going to talk a little bit about your resume. So just like I was saying before, that your brand and your personal brand needs to be consistent. Specifically thinking about your resume, you want a resume that is going to be clear from day one, and when somebody lands on it, they know how to get in contact with you. They know how to find your portfolio quickly, and they're able to pull out some pretty key words of your experience based off of what they're looking to hire for. So this is just an example resume. What I really liked about this resume, it is immediately clear how I can get in touch with Chris, and it is immediately clear where his portfolio can be found. I have looked at resumes that have included their personal contact information all the way at the bottom. I do not suggest that. I should not have to scroll all the way to the bottom of your resume to figure out how I can get in contact with you. I also would not suggest to put your portfolio all the way at the bottom either. I want to be able to see your portfolio probably within 10 to 15 seconds of me opening your resume. I'm going to go to your portfolio. I know I get a lot of questions about what do keywords mean, and how do I know what words to include in my resume? And what I suggest is to be looking at the jobs that you're applying to. Some of the keywords that I pulled out here are things like wireframes, sitemap, hi-fi mockups, weekly emails, profile page, maintenance interface, sign up page. I also will often be looking for somebody that has worked on a team. So the fact that this person says they worked cross-functionally, collaborating with the CEO, marketing team, and developers is, like if I am looking for somebody that has worked across, a team, this is a great call out as well. These same keywords should be included in your LinkedIn as well. That is how recruiters find candidates, is they are often looking at keywords. So I might often be saying, okay, I am hiring for a UX designer. So I'm going to type in UX designer. And then beyond that, I might say, I'm looking for a UX designer that has experience in WordPress, that has also designed a sign up page, a email page, a profile page, whatever, right? And I'm going to search all of that. I might also be looking for a designer that has experience with research or user stories or persona development, whatever that might be, right? Not all of that is included in the resume. And maybe this person doesn't have that experience. But if you have that experience, then you should be speaking about it. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions coming in. I see the ATS question, and I got a few questions about that prior to this, and I can answer a few. So Nadia asked, does this 2-column resume format work with ATS machines? And then there was another question that we got prior to this that also asked about specifically about the ATS. So the ATS is, and for anybody that doesn't know, it stands for an applicant tracking system. And most companies use this. If you apply to a job through their website, it is a guarantee that is an ATS that you are using when you apply to the job. There definitely is a little bit of a myth that these ATSs are better than we think they are. They're not. They have very, very, very minimal AI. And a large majority of them don't pull all of the right information, to be totally honest with you. What I will say is that on the recruiter side of things, when I am going into an ATS and I am reviewing an applicant, what it typically shows in the first snapshot is your name, your title, your current title, and the company that you're at. And that is how I am deciding, do I want to click into this profile and review their resume in more detail? So what I generally suggest is that it should be very clear on your resume, your most recent title and the most recent company that you have been at. Often too, when you upload your resume onto an ATS, it gives you, it will parse the information, and it thinks that it's being smart and it's pulling the right information. But you often, as an applicant, have an option to review it before you click submit. And so I strongly suggest that if you have the option to make sure that your name is up to date, your title and the company is up to date, that all that is included. There is nothing wrong with this resume. I think this is a great layout for a resume. There's tons of other layouts, but this is a totally fine resume. I think it is very clear. I like the use of white space. It is easy to read. The colors are easy on the eyes. And something that I would certainly suggest for somebody to use is a layout like this. The ATSs, I try not to put too much weight into this, because at the end of the day, there are humans behind those ATS systems. There are humans that are reviewing your resume. The biggest piece of it, though, is that you might not get a human to click into your resume if your title and your company that you've been at is not even remotely relevant to the job that you have applied to. So if you're applying to a UX designer or a product designer or a graphic designer or art director or creative director, whatever that might be, your title has to be relevant. So it's not going to make sense if your most recent title that it pulls out from your resume is ice cream scooper and you're applying for UX designer. So you just want to make sure that you've got enough, your resume is formatted well enough that it's going to be able to pull that. Outside of that, I guarantee you then somebody will be looking at the rest of your resume and then your portfolio. Great questions, though. I know the ATS piece of it can be very frustrating. Okay, let's keep going in terms of digital presence. I wanted to showcase just two different examples. So we'll look at this very top piece first. Again, remembering that you want your logo, your font, your colors, your brand, the keywords, your career progression. You want it all to be the same on both the portfolio as well as the resume. So the example is that same Chris guy that we were just talking about. What I really liked about his portfolio is he's taking that same logo that we saw in his resume, and we're seeing that in his portfolio. He's also using the exact same font and the same colors. And of course, all the information is the same as well in terms of his time, line and his education. It's funny, I was actually talking to a recruiter friend the other day, and we were talking about candidates that are using AI to write their resumes for them. I strongly suggest to not do that. Primarily because what we are finding is that people come into their interviews and aren't even completely aware of what it says on their resume. They're not able to speak directly to what it says on their resume. I would much, much, much rather you just be real, and you can use ChatGPT to kind of tweak maybe a word or two, or to think of a better phrasing for something. But you really should be the person that is writing your resume and writing what you include in your portfolio. My second example down here, Tara Smith, I thought was a really interesting one too. So she really took the focus of brand consistency even more seriously. So not only is the logo and the font, the colors, the branding, the keywords, her career progression. And this is across her LinkedIn and then her portfolio. And so you'll see, she kind of took this whole, she's from Texas, right? She took this sort of Texas brand consistency, and she took, there's a little bit more of a snake here where she took the, cowboy hat into that. But you guys can see how she really focused on that brand consistency. And it's very clear that she understands what it means to work across mediums and to really stay consistent. And super important to me, especially when I am interviewing and I'm recruiting anybody in design or even anybody in marketing, because that's that's your job, is to make sure that things are staying consistent. Okay. So I know there's a big question about how do we get noticed? I spent all this time on my portfolio. I spent all this time on my resume. I've been posting on LinkedIn. I've been attending events, but now what? How do I really continue to get noticed? So the basics is you need to network. And that can be in-person networking events. Like we've talked about, build in-person relationships with people is the best, especially in this post-COVID world where we're all so tied to our phones and so tied to our computers and we're so used to Zoom meetings. You will stand out in the crowd if you go to in-person events, you're shaking hands with people in the industry, and you're making genuine connections. From there, we talked about this, but I'll say it again, is posting on LinkedIn that you've attended the event and share your takeaways and any interesting insights that you've gotten. What I would absolutely suggest is that even in an event like this, that you are walking away, even if it is a webinar, that you're walking away, really uh, thinking about like, what is your takeaway and what can I speak to other people about? What could I potentially use as my, takeaway when I post on LinkedIn? Again, this is all about just showing up as a thought leader in your space, as somebody that is genuinely wanting to continue to learn and wanting to continue to grow, and is purposely going to events that are within your industry. The next is, of course, interacting with people and companies on social. So just to dig a little bit deeper about LinkedIn. So not just only posting, but let's say I am really dying to get into into the fashion industry. I really would love to work for Gap or Levi's or a number of other companies in this world. And another great way to do that is to follow the company's page on LinkedIn and like and comment on any relevant posts. Also, to connect with employees that you would potentially like to work with or would be in your desired department, and comment on what they're posting about. Like those posts, repost about them. This is a way to show, again, like you are genuinely interested and excited to work for the company. And then the last is to post on social. And this is where I would share your industry insights. You're commenting on thoughtful company updates. You're sharing relevant articles. And some of the suggestions that I have over here and just ideas is in-person events that you could go to. You could get involved in the AIGA, in the American Marketing Association. There's Women in Tech. There's the Interactive Design Association. Of course, there's Design Buddies. There's so many different ways to get involved and go to networking events. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, but continuing to stay involved. Your other piece too is we're talking a lot about LinkedIn today, but there's also plenty of people on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, right? And I would suggest that you utilize the medium you feel most comfortable with, but also don't forget about LinkedIn, because that is where the professional, that's the professional route. But we've all heard of people getting jobs through TikTok and things like that. You just sort of never know where people are hanging out. Don't be afraid too. Actually somebody asked me about the design challenges, and that was one of the questions is it worth going, getting involved in design challenges? Will I get noticed? 1000%, because you're not only going to go to that design challenge, but you're now going to post that you went to that design challenge and you participated in it, and you're going to post about what you learned and who you met, and you're going to connect with all of those people that were at the challenge. You're right. This is those types of design challenges I look at as great networking events, but then also a great way to show that you're staying ahead of the trends. Another section here on how to get noticed is if you are applying to a job through LinkedIn, I would strongly suggest that you follow that up with messaging the hiring manager or the HR recruiting person that posted that job. I strongly recommend that you message them directly, and not just, I just applied to the UX designer job that you posted. That's like an obvious, like, of course, I already know that, right? What you're messaging is, why did you apply? I just applied to your UX design role because I love Levi's, and I've been wearing Levi's since I was a toddler, and it has been a dream of me to join your company. Something along those lines. Or I noticed in the job posting that you're looking for somebody that, blah, blah, blah. And I have a huge interest in that space. You're trying to message to get yourself to stand out from the rest of the applicants. And then the last I'm going to suggest here is just consistently connect with new people every single week. And honestly, it doesn't matter how much you post on LinkedIn if you have nobody that you're connected with on LinkedIn. That's the same for TikTok or Instagram or anything else, right? Like you need to have people that that are following you or connected to you. And how do you continue to add to those connections? It's by going to these events. It's by being consistent with your connections. It's by following up after each meeting that you have, so on and so forth. So I'm going to just do one more plug, as if you guys maybe haven't realized yet. Super passionate about growing your network. If you have not connected with me yet on LinkedIn, I strongly suggest that you do that. You can pull out your phone right now. You can go to LinkedIn, go to the search bar. In that search bar on your phone, there is to the right where you can click on the QR code and you can scan my LinkedIn right there and connect with me. But if you have not yet in the chat and then in the comments shared your LinkedIn profile, I strongly suggest you jump in there, share your LinkedIn URL, and connect with each other. And what I would suggest is that you're not just clicking connect, but you're adding in a note when you connect of how do you know each other, right? Oh, hey, I just saw you were on the digital presence webinar, right? Would love to connect with you. The more people you're connected with, again, right, the more that are going to see your posts, more people are going to interact, and the higher chance of you then getting noticed by others. Okay. This is going to be my very last, and then we're going to jump into questions. So some of the other things to think about on where to get started. If you search the term #UX on LinkedIn, you can see comments, recent posts, so on and so forth. So this is just an example of a post from yesterday or 2 days ago that this woman posted about. She has a newsletter and she wrote about Figma versus Adobe XD, right? And which one is better. I would suggest to be reading things like this and then commenting on it. It is showing, again, right, like you're a thought leader in the space and you have an opinion. The next is you can also search recent articles about UX or product design. And this is literally like you can just Google search it and then you can post on LinkedIn, right? Like BYU just recently launched a new program which teaches both physical and digital product design. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good program? Read the article. What are your thoughts on it? Is this a program that you wish that they had in your school when you went to college? Do you think it's not a great program? What do you think, right? Again, being a thought leader. The last is you can, again, post about the events that you plan on attending or post about an event or webinar you've already attended. Again, all I did was search UX and then events, 886 results of events on LinkedIn that have UX in the title. You've got plenty of options of places that you could network, you could meet new people, and you could be posting on LinkedIn. Okay, so that's coming to the end now. These are all the questions that we got ahead of time. Please pop in additional questions. I know Grace was going to help me too, and I saw a whole bunch of questions coming in. I was talking. I wanted to make sure that I left the last 15 minutes for us to talk and get some more questions. I'm going to run through some answers to these. If you want to pop in some more questions into the comments while I'm running through some of these answers, I'm going to ask Grace to help me get through some of them. But please feel free to throw out some more questions now. So let's kind of jump through. What is the best current portfolio platform in the eyes of the employees? The two portfolio platforms that I see most often right now are Squarespace and Cargo Collective. That doesn't mean that there aren't others that you could be using, but those are the ones that I see most often. Do you think competing in design competitions is a good way for a junior UX UI designer to stand out? I talked about this a little bit earlier. 1000%, absolutely, you should do it. What kinds of projects and skills should I concentrate on showing with my portfolio as an illustrator and graphic designer wanting to work creatively in the nonprofit, eco, and social equity spaces? So this is actually a great example of you should get yourself involved in industry events and webinars, specifically in the nonprofit social equity space. And then in addition to that, to be able to showcase those skills, you're able to then connect with folks that are in that industry and show that you are going to those events and that you are genuinely interested in that industry. Best way to transition from corporate to freelance online with little to no existing social media following. My suggestion actually is to work with recruiters. So there's a number of recruiting agencies out there that you could be working directly with, and many of them, Creative Circle, Robert Half, 24/7, they all work on freelance, and that would be a great way to try to get some of your freelance jobs. Beyond that, you could also get yourself involved in, again, events like this and networking and so on and so forth to be able to get yourself out there. Okay, let's see. I'm not going to run through everyone because I know that there's some more questions that are coming in as well. I only took boot camp class for UX design. Does that mean I can't apply for internships that state you must be a current undergrad? Not a silly question. However, just legally, the way that that works is companies, if they are looking to hire somebody that is in school for an internship, it is because they cannot hire you and not pay you, right? They have to either offer you money or they have to offer you college credit. Excuse me. So unfortunately, if you're not in a school anymore and it's an internship that is unpaid, you probably cannot take that job because you're not able to get school credit. One more question, then I'm going to open it up. Could you provide strategies on how someone transitioning from graphic design to UX research could reword their experience and skills to apply for entry-level roles? You guys, I'm dying. Okay, so when we think about how we're transitioning, what is the difference between a graphic designer and a UX researcher? To me, one of those biggest takeaways is that when you think about a UX researcher, you, of course, are doing a lot of research. You are doing user testing, you're doing A/B testing, you're doing persona development, so on and so forth. But as a designer, you should also be doing the research as you're thinking about what you're designing for maybe social media or for email or for web. So I would just be suggesting that you think about what are those transferable skills? What are things that you're already doing as a designer that you could be doing also as a UX researcher? Okay, let's think. What other questions do we have? Any others that we want to specifically call out?
Yeah, that was great. There's a lot of great questions.
I know.
I definitely +1 on posting on LinkedIn because a lot of people in decision-making power, like hiring managers, recruiters, they hang out on LinkedIn. And the more you post, the more you increase your surface area of luck. That's
You guys, my screen time on LinkedIn has to be an embarrassing number.
I love it. No, LinkedIn is like so in right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Truly, I'm probably spending 14, maybe more hours a day on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Whoever also, like, I get a lot of feedback on people being afraid to post on LinkedIn is coming across as cringe, but like not everyone's your target audience, and whoever tells you you're cringe are like not your target audience, and it's not your job to like please them. So don't let them stop you. And if anything Larissa says during this event that resonates with you, definitely make a recap post, tag Larissa, tag Design Buddies, tag myself. I'd love to see it and amplify your posts. And let's hop into more questions.
Exactly.
So Anthony asked, like, I guess, like, how long does it typically take to build a consistent personal brand? I know a brand is like a lifelong iterative process, but like, what strategies do you recommend if you post on multiple platforms and to be
Yeah.
consistent? 'Cause I know you mentioned like TikTok and stuff like that too.
For sure. Yeah. Well, okay. So I will say that I started really consistently posting on LinkedIn at the beginning of 2023. So I'm like a little bit over a year of consistently posting, and I try to post between 3 to 4 times a week. If I'm going to be honest, sometimes I feel like I my own self is cringe. Like sometimes it's like, oh my god, like it is, and it can be really awkward sometimes. But I will tell you, I'm because of my consistent posting, I have had so many more interactions and more candidates coming to me, more hiring managers coming to me. I've been asked to be, right, speaking on that American Marketing Association is because of my LinkedIn presence. And so a lot of it is it takes time. And so I don't know if I want to say it took me a full year, but I honestly will say, I mean, it probably took me at least 6 months of consistency to really start to get noticed and to get people to really engage with my content. That's also, though, not just me being consistent about it, but also we were talking about you have to continue to grow your followers. So you have to be consistent about it, but then also add connections.
Hmm. It's all muscle you build. Everyone starts somewhere, and today's the best day to get started.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. Emily asks, how would you approach marketing yourself as a student or using your student status as a leverage?
Yeah. I think using your student status as leverage is such a good call out, Emily. I love paying it forward. I love mentoring. I love helping people. Like, I just love helping more junior folks. And so I will say, like, you truly could just go to LinkedIn, message somebody that you would love to work, like you would dream to have their job in their future, and just say, like, I am a current student. I'm looking to learn more about the industry. Would you be open to like a 15-minute coffee chat? You're not going to get 100% response rate, but I actually would guarantee you'll get way more responses than you would think. I know this is funny to say, but everyone's favorite topic to talk about is themselves. If you just ask somebody to talk about themselves for 15 minutes, they'll be happy to.
Yeah, like, I wanna know how you got into your role, and you might learn some, like, actual insights that you can, like, relate as well and, like,
Completely.
vibe and make friends.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Next question. If you find yourself an introvert slash have social anxiety and you enjoy in-person events, but find yourself exhausted pretty quickly, have you got any tips for how to get maximum value from a smaller number of conversations at these events?
I feel you, Sandra. Okay, so as you guys can probably imagine, I talk to a lot of people all day, and I could continue talking all night long. But in-person events especially are so exhausting, and I think most of us feel that way. What I would generally suggest is just to make a goal for yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to stay for an hour and I'm going to try to talk to 3 people. That's okay, right? Like, you don't have to talk to every person in the room. You don't have to feel like you stayed all the way until the end. If you know that it really exhausts you, or there's just like so much anxiety around it, it's okay, right? Like, you can kind of inch into it. It's okay to just come for a little bit, meet a few people. And honestly, sometimes the better conversations are when you just have a few, like you said, a smaller number of conversations.
Mhm. And, like, another tip I would give is sometimes, like, there's, like, so many people at these events, and if you're not vibing with someone, it's okay. Like, you don't have like, this is just, like,
Yeah.
me coming from, like, hosting and attending hundreds of events. Like, yeah, like, the art of leaving conversations. Sometimes I get, like, social anxiety as well. I'm just like, I feel like I'm, like, just entertaining this person, but at the same time, I'm talking to other people. They probably want to talk to other people, but, like, it's like, "Hey, I'm gonna use the bathroom," or like, "Hey, it was so great chatting with you. Let's connect," or like, "Hey, I'll let you
Yes.
chat with other people now," and just, like, really I feel like it's like finding diamonds in the rough. Like, you're, like, don't talk to a lot of people and, like, finding who you really vibe with and follow up. Schedule coffee with them next week. Schedule coffee with them tomorrow, and follow up and just, like, focus on, like, quality over quantity and not feel the pressure to talk to everyone. Because like, when I started going to events, I was like, "I wanna talk to all of it," but, like, I like barely remember anyone. So like, yeah, just like
Yes,
find people to like just vibe with, and don't force yourself, and don't feel pressure to like force a vibe with someone because that didn't working out.
it's true. It's true. I will tell you guys as a little plug, I posted something on LinkedIn today about networking. So go check that out because I do think it's relevant, right? And I think, we all have a little bit of anxiety about networking. Nobody likes standing in a room of people they don't know. It's not fun. Like that's scary.
Yeah, I like to approach it as like making friends, and if
Yeah.
they'll vibe, it's okay. I can leave. I can talk to someone else.
Yeah.
Like
I don't we
that's
don't we
what
don't need to
my
be
goal
friends with
becomes at
everyone.
least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question, Brad, is anyone ever afraid of posting on LinkedIn and have it potentially damage your potential of getting hired? What if I'm saying the wrong things? Like, what would you consider like boundaries, or like what would you like not
Mhm.
say on LinkedIn?
Yeah. First, I'll say, what's up, Brad? Brad's the reason that I'm here right now. He's the one that introduced me to Design Buddy. So thank you,
Oh,
Brad.
thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Okay, so I don't listen. I mean, I think we all know some of the obvious to not talk about. Let's not talk about religion. Let's not talk about politics. Like, there's certain things that I would not include on LinkedIn. But I don't necessarily feel that you're going to lose out on a job opportunity because you are engaged in a thoughtful conversation around the differences between Figma and Adobe XD. Like that is not gonna, hinder your potential. I would generally recommend that if you're on LinkedIn, you have to think about this as a work environment. And if you wouldn't say this at work, then you shouldn't say it on LinkedIn.
Hmm. Yeah, my boundary is like if it doesn't harm anyone, I'll say it. As long as it's
Yeah.
not harmful. Yeah. Cool. There's like a lot of questions. I know we have like 3 minutes left. I'm trying to go through and just trying
Scroll
to
to the
find
top.
one. Yeah, so Vina asks, how to post about like let's just say someone really, really wants to work at this company or like an industry. Like how would you go about posting on LinkedIn to attract their attention essentially and like how to post about a company you're interested in and want to express how you can contribute your skill set in the best manner for their products slash industry.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you all a secret to what I do. So I am in the midst of building my own recruiting firm, and that means a lot of networking. It means a lot of business development. It means a lot of conversation. It means, all sorts of things. And often I will post on LinkedIn and I will post a like feedback to an article to a company that I would love to work with. I would love to recruit for the company, and so I'm trying to get the company to look at me. I'm trying to get the hiring manager to see me, and then I'm posting something thoughtful in response to either a post that they wrote or an article that they wrote. And so I would strongly just suggest to think about that same thought process, Vina, as you're thinking about a company. So let's say you really want to work for Sephora. I would be genuinely paying attention to what is going on with Sephora in the news, what types of press releases are happening, but then also what are some of the more senior leaders at Sephora posting about on LinkedIn, and then contribute, to that, right? And show the way that you can kind of show your specific skill set is you are now thinking about, based off of what they posted about, like how you maybe could have added additional skills to it, or maybe hey, like I love that what you guys are doing. Have you thought about doing this and this, right? Like I used to do this at my other company. Have you considered that? Or like just taking it like maybe one step further to what you've seen. It's really just I really just try to align it with what I see out there, and what also just what you're excited about and what's interesting to you.
Mhm. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, just be yourself. Like don't like
Yes.
fake yourself because like when you're interviewing for a company, you're also interviewing them, and like you want to make sure it's like a mutual relationship as well. I know we're coming on time. Is there anything you would like to share with our buddies that haven't shared yet today?
My goodness. I just want to thank you so much, Grace. Thank you so much for having me. It is so nice to meet everybody. Please feel free to reach out to me individually. I'm an open book. I try to be just, I think hopefully you guys all saw, I try to be very real, and I do genuinely love supporting others. So, please feel free to utilize me in any way that I can. And thank you to everybody for attending today.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And plus, we peaked at like 200 plus people on LinkedIn. So thanks y'all
Yeah.
for showing up. Really appreciate all the hype in the chat and definitely connect with Larissa. I will also send a follow up with the recording. Yes, it is recorded. I was going to ask that. And a networking sheet for y'all to connect with each other. And if you see each other on LinkedIn in the chat, connect with each other, send each other a personalized invite, connect with myself as well. I post a lot of cool events. And yeah, have fun. And if you're in SF, we're hosting an event at IDEO tomorrow and one at Bunny House on Thursday. So more to come and over the world too. We have a lots going on. Some coming soon in actually Singapore, Dubai, Tokyo, and Italy, Tuscany. So yes, stay tuned. Buddies are going over the world. And I'm not quitting. I'm taking a leave of absence from corporate to like explore all this jazz. So stay tuned for that too.
Yay!
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone. Bye.